Prague off the beaten track. Vít Pohanka takes you away from the crowds to the city's hidden gems.
Hello and welcome to Prague off the beaten track. I'm Vít Pohanka and today I have a little tip for you. When it gets hot in Prague, and let's face it, summer here does get hot, there's nothing quite like stepping into the shade of a quiet forest. A place where you can breathe, slow down and escape the buzz of the city, even just for an hour or two. And that's exactly where I decided to go today. The forest I just came to has a few different names. Officially it's called Kunraticko-Michelský les, but locals often just say Kunratický les or Kunraťák or Krčský les or even Kunraťák. So take your pick, they all mean the same, a much-loved green haven on the southern edge of the city. Now, just to give you an idea of the scale, this isn't your average city park. Kunraťák covers about 300 hectares or roughly 740 acres. That puts it just slightly smaller than, for example, Hampstead Heath in London, which is around 320 hectares, and not far off New York's Central Park, or 341 hectares. So, yes, it's in the same league, but unlike the mentioned Central Park, Kunraťák isn't central at all. It's tucked away in the southern part of Prague, as I indicated, kind of nestled between the neighborhoods of Krč, Kunratice, Spořilov and Michle. So it's more than just a patch of trees in the middle of town. It's a full-fledged forest with winding trails, bubbling streams, local wildlife and even the ruins of a royal castle hidden among the trees. So, if you're ready, lace up your shoes, grab a bottle of water and join me as we explore one of the city's largest and most beloved natural sanctuaries right here on Prague off the beaten track. To get here, I took the metro, the Red Sea Line, from the center of Prague and got off at Kačerov, and from there I caught a bus to Tomajerova Nemocnice, that's Tomajer Hospital. Some people still call it Krčská nemocnice, and it's right next to IKEM, or the Institute of Clinical and Experimental Medicine, one of the country's top hospitals, and you can actually drive the bus all the way down to IKEM too. And I should add that if you take the metro down to Rostily or Chodov, it's the same, Sea Line again, you should be able to walk actually directly to the forest if you use your favorite app map. But on this trip I took the bus to Tomajerova Nemocnice, and from the bus stop it was just a short walk into the forest. I entered through the area called Údolí Kunratického potoka, or the valley of the Kunratice stream. It's a protected part of the forest with a network of marked trails, and as I walk, I come across a series of information panels, sort of an outdoor educational trail. The signs, I have to say, are only in Czech for now, but I suppose again with translation apps it's easy enough to get the key points in English too. And since we are still within the city limits, reception, I have to say, by the way, is excellent. No problem looking things up on the go. Now, as I walk, the trail follows the stream through gentle slopes and wooded paths. You'll pass through groves of oak, alder and hornbeam, maybe spot of a few wildflowers or birds along the way. It's very calm, I have to say, green and quiet, a proper break from city life, but still easy to reach under half an hour from the center of Prague. Now I walked, I have to say, up quite a steep slope, and I'm standing on a small hill among the ruins of Nový Hrad, the new castle. You should be able again to locate it very easily on your map app. And I think it's very interesting because, of course, there's not much that feels new about it today. There are some weathered stone walls, and they are what is left of a former royal residence built in the early 1400s. by King Wenceslas IV, Václav IV of the Luxembourg dynasty. I should perhaps explain that he was the son of Charles IV and ruled as King of Bohemia and King of the Romans as well. Unlike his father, his reign, however, was marked by tension and unrest, which culminated in the Hussite Wars. As I can read here, the construction began in 1411, and it didn't take long for Wenceslas to make this one of his favorite retreats. It was close enough to the city to stay connected, but quiet enough to feel like an escape. The project was carefully organized, and we even know the names of some of the workers from historical records. There was a head architect, a scribe, a brick hauler, and even a builder responsible for digging the defensive moat and the fish pond down in the valley. Obviously, Wenceslas used the castle not just as a getaway, but as a working residence. He moved his royal library here, full of illuminated manuscripts, including his richly decorated Bible of Wenceslas IV. He received foreign diplomats and continued to govern from this very spot. But in the summer of 1419, after hearing about the first defenestration of Prague, when a mob threw several city officials out of a window to their deaths, and it was a kind of beginning of the violent phase of the Hussite revolution, and the king was deeply shaken by the news. After that, his health deteriorated quickly, and on the 16th of August 1419, he died right here, most likely of a stroke. Today, as I look around, Nový Hrad is a peaceful ruin in the forest. It was sacked and burned by the Hussites, but the remnants are still here, quietly holding their place in Czech history. So if you hike up the slope, you'll get also a lovely view over the forest and parts of southern Prague. It's a great spot to pause and reflect on how places change over time, from royal residence to ruin to a quiet natural retreat, where, allow me to say, I think history and nature kind of exist side by side. Now, Kunratický les may have a royal ruin and centuries of history, but today it's first and foremost a place where people come to relax, recharge and escape the noise of the city. Surrounded by dense urban housing and high-rise apartment blocks, this forest acts like a green island in the middle of Prague's southern neighborhoods. There are marked hiking and cycling trails, plenty of benches, picnic spots and public fire pit, and even a children's playground or two. On weekends especially, you'll see families with kids, joggers, people walking their dogs, and yes, even the occasional mushroom hunter. Even though I think, this place is so close to Prague that it will be quite difficult to find any mushrooms here, because as soon as a mushroom appears, I suppose someone will just pick it. The forest also features, as I mentioned, educational trail with forestry-themed panels, again in Czech, and there's a charming little gamekeeper's lodge with animal enclosure where you can normally see fallow deer and roe deer up close. I don't see that now, but it doesn't mean that you will not be able to see them if you come some other time. And if you're into trees, you might be surprised to learn that Kunratický les, by the way, is home to some quite unusual species, including Sequoia dendron giganteum, that's the giant sequoia that you may know from California, and even the rare metasequoia or dawn redwood, a living fossil directly from China, as I read here. They are not massive yet, but they are growing here quietly, defying all expectations. Of course, with more than 2 million visitors each year, this forest is loved and maybe too loved. The downside of such high foot and bicycle traffic is visible. Sometimes you can see a little bit of litter, some vandalism, and free-roaming dogs can also disturb local wildlife and ground-nesting birds. So there are warning signs. If you have a dog, do not let it run around without a leash. It's still nature, after all, and even though you're technically in Prague, the rules of the woods still apply. And yes, under Czech law, entering the forest is always at your own risk. Something to keep in mind when wandering off trail, especially if there's storm coming or strong wind. But as I can read here, despite the pressure from visitors, Kunratický les is carefully managed with a strong focus on sustainability. So many of the older spruce monocultures are gradually being replaced with more diverse, mixed forest that better reflects the natural makeup of this region. Prague's Forestry Service ensures us that it follows the strict standards of the international FSC certification, which emphasizes ecological responsibility and long-term forest health. So, while you are here enjoying the trails or just sitting under a tree with a book, you are also witnessing a quiet, ongoing transformation, one that's meant to keep this forest alive and thriving for future generations. I'm sitting now at the U krále Václava IV. Restaurant, or at the King Wenceslas IV, just below the hill where the old castle ruins still watch over the forest. I've got a small beer in front of me because there's a nice beer garden here, and it's a perfect place for ending a walk like this. The indoor part of this restaurant, by the way, is closed today, but honestly, sitting outside under the trees feels just right. I think Kunratický les may be full of history, but it's first and foremost a place for everyday life to unwind, breathe and enjoy. And it's easy to get here. Definitely worth it. As always, you'll find a map, photos and more on the Prague of the Beaten Track page at the Radio Prague International website. I'm Vít Pohanka and thank you so much for listening.
Prague off the beaten track. Vít Pohanka takes you away from the crowds to the city's hidden gems.